I want to go over the process of making a good level that's more than just this conglomeration of actors inside a couple of boxes. Now that we have a good amount of our horror mechanics set up, I want to create an actual scene where this can play out kind of the way an actual game will play. The assets I'm going to be using are from UE4 Sequencer project, which you can use too, although I advise that you find your own assets. So if you open Epic Games and you go to the Learn tab under Unreal Engine, and you scroll down near the bottom, I believe, right here, the Sequencer project, you can open this up and actually create a project from it. And if you look, this is just a project to give you an idea of how the sequencer works, so if you want it for that, then that's perfect as well. But you can see we kind of have this Subway asset pack included with it, and that is what I'm going to use to create our scene. So you can just hit Create Project, and I've already created mine, so I'm just going to open it up. And once that's open, I'm just going to let all of these shaders compile as it waits, and I'm going to go to Content, and we have this folder here called Assets, which includes our meshes and materials and a few other things. So once the shaders are finished compiling, I'm going to migrate this over to our project. Okay, so the shaders are done compiling, so I'm just going to right click on Assets. We're going to hit Migrate, and you can uncheck anything you don't want, but we're just going to be moving all of it for now. Hit OK, and we want to find the project we're looking for. So I'm going to go to my UE4 projects folder, find our Udemy horror game, and go to Content, and then you can just put it here in Content. Select folder, and it'll copy all the files over. Once you're done, it should say Content Migration Completed Successfully, and you can close the Sequencer project. Back into our other project, you'll be able to see now that we have this folder called Assets, which is perfect. So I'm going to make a new scene for this, so let's go to Maps, right-click, Level, and I'm going to call this Horror Level. I'm going to open it up, hit Save, and it's completely dark. There's absolutely nothing in here. So before anything, if you remember way back from one of our first episodes, we're going to add a post-process volume. And we're just going to turn the exposure min and max to 1 so it doesn't mess with our exposure. We also want to go to the world settings and choose the game mode override to our L1 game mode, which is the game mode we created at the beginning, which has our character and player controller and everything we need. So I'm just going to throw together a level real quick that I'm going to speed through, because this is just going to be me dragging and dropping assets that you can do in whatever fashion you want, or you can copy mine. It doesn't matter. Right before we get started though, I want to point out one thing. In the assets mesh, if we search for floor, we have these two floors here, hallway floor 600 and hallway floor 600 simple. You're going to want to use the simple one because the hallway floor 600 has been subdivided, so it has nearly 400 faces, whereas this floor only has one. If I drag it in, we're in unlit. If I drag both in, you'll see that they look the same. Well, that one's a lot lower, so it looks smaller. But you're going to want to use this one because the other one has been subdivided to accommodate for painting and puddles. But the simple one also currently doesn't have a collision, so let's open it up. If we go to collision, simple collision, nothing pops up, so we just have to go to collision, add box simplified collision, and it should add it with the correct dimensions. And then you can close it again. Oh, one more thing, I'm going to reopen it up. I'm just going to change the material from this from gray to floor water mesh paint instance, just because I think that looks a little better for what I want as a floor. And I think I'm going to double the size of the floor since I don't need the tiles that small. Perfect. For the ceilings, I'm going to be using the floor mesh as well. Just turned upside down And the material I'm going to be using is going to be ceiling mesh paint inst. And lastly, before I start the time lapse of me making a level, for the stairs, I'm going to scale them at 1.5 instead of 1. Oh, sorry, I meant to only scale them 1.5 on the z-axis. There we go. All right, now I'm going to time lapse of me just creating a quick level. Alright, so I have completely built my scene here. It's fairly simple. I added a little more than the areas you'll actually be able to go. It's just this room, upstairs, this room, and this room. And I added a door, one that we made early on. And sadly they didn't really have a doorway asset, so I just had to kind of improvise and create my own, but I think it looks alright. I added in some lights, but these do not actually emit any light right now. If we go to lit mode, it's completely dark. They are emissive, but they don't emit light. Like they don't contribute to the static lighting in the scene. These are just two, and I just added some details. We'll be actually lighting the scene in the next episode. So once you've created your scene, you can just go ahead and go to the next episode. I'll see you there.